Hey guys, it's me, Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. How are you doing today? It's a great Saturday. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about our favorite subject, which is sales. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right on into it. So, what is our subject for today? Our subject for today is how to take your 45-hour continuing education in real estate and pass the test. Okay, pass the test. What is involved when you take your 45 hours of continuing education? You're probably asking yourself, if you're just getting into real estate and you know that within 2 years you have to take this course. I highly recommend, if you do this, don't wait till the end of the 2 years. You might want to go ahead and take it in the very beginning. That's what I've done, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm very grateful because it gave me a lot of information that's going to be usable for me to be able to help customers with real estate. It's just that simple. If you wait till the end, you may be missing some things, and you might have some gaps in your selling career. So if you're going to wait up to almost 2 years to take this course, I wouldn't recommend it, because see, you're fresh. You finished school not too long ago, and you're starting to work, you're starting to learn. But the 45-hour continuing education will touch bases with a lot of pertinent information, which I'm going to tell you about here in just a second. I recently took the course. It was great. I did an online Zoom meeting. They would do it in person, but with the COVID crap going on, they did it via Zoom, which was pretty cool for me because I could chill at the house, drink some coffee, go use the restroom, and it was breaks in between. And I was very fortunate that I was able to take this course with this company, and it was called First Coast School of Real Estate. Now, and the teacher, his name was Roy Durbin. Okay, this guy was a really good teacher, funny. He went through the book, and it's a big book. It's a lot of information. I mean, it's pretty doggone intense. It's a big old book. And you had over 15 chapters, plus a lot of tests and stuff on each chapter that gives you the capability to be able to know your subject. And when you go to take the test, don't be like me. Don't have fear. Just relax. And false evidence appearing real can be really destructive to your mind. So I also want to let you know, they also have, besides the 45-hour continuing education, they have the 63-hour class to be able to get your license if you're looking to get your license, or if you know someone who wants to get their license. They can either do it in person or you can do it over the internet, and a lot of stuff is being done that way. They have also the broker's license, which is a 72-hour license, and you have to wait at least 2 years before you can get that. If you're wanting to get that right away after you've gotten your 63 hours, that's a part of your test. You'll remember that in your 63-hour course. The subject for today is how to take your 45-hour continuing education in real estate and pass it the first time. I'm going to be quite honest with you. With 45 hours, it doesn't seem like a lot. It was 3 days they do them also. A lot of people can do this online. You can do with other companies and so forth. But I really liked First Coast. I thought they were pretty good, and I liked the way they did it. Now, we did it over a 3-week period with 3 days during the week that we did it. And it gave you time to study and so forth and go over the chapters. Mr. Durbin, he did make sure he went over the material and didn't read verbatim. He read through and gave his experience, strength, and hope, because Mr. Durbin, he's been in business for a long time. He's going for a position with NEFAR, which is a very, you'll figure these things out, because when you get into the business, you've got to have this thing called the MLS, and you'll need to know how to use that to be able to list your homes for sale. And NEFAR is just a part of the whole system. So when you get set up, just ask who takes care of all of our MLSs. Okay, I'm just saying. Like I said, when I took the course, at first I was kind of a little overwhelmed because, I'm out here working. I'm trying to do things. I'm busy. I got a busy schedule. Plus I was taking another class, and I highly recommend, if you don't have to take 2 classes at the same time, don't do it. Trust me, it's not as easy as it sounds. And I went down that rabbit hole. But for yourself, if you want to get this knowledge, you're going to have courses. Remember, this particular book has the 15 chapters. You also have a lot of the documents that you'll be using when you're doing your presentation, how to get referrals, how to have conversations with customers, how to work with other agents, the buyers or the sellers. You'll learn all this in your class. Now, it ain't everywhere. I mean, it's not everything, but this will give you at least a way to go back and look at this material as you progress in your career as a salesperson selling real estate. So one of the things that they learned was laying out the foundation for your success career. You want to learn the legal issues and risk management. Because when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, it ain't no joke. You got to have your ducks in a row, and you don't want to get sued for stupid stuff. Now, also, you deal with how to deal with people. They have this thing called the Fair Housing and the Americans with Disabilities Act. You disrespect a different type of person, color, creed, just a lot of different groups of people, it can be detrimental. Finance companies can't do this thing called redlining. They can't hurt people based on, where the location they want to buy a home and so forth. Can't charge you people more. You got to take care of your disabled people, and you also have to take care of your mentally and people who have drug issues. There's a lot of things that are in here that you may not have even thought about when you got into it. Also business planning and your time management. Holy cow. I'm going to tell you what, planning and business management, your time is so important because you need to know when to call people, or at least set that time frame. You need to know when to go farm your areas. You go, what is a farm? That means you go to a particular area, you knock on some doors, or you send out literature, and you try to farm that area, and you learn how to make sure that that particular area is worth your time. I'm just telling you, because you can do rentals. I mean, you can talk to people who are properties where people are moving in and out. You've got people like, people who are renting apartments and stuff. There's a lot of people out there that need our help as far as, buying a home or a condo or real estate in general. The second section was obtaining listings that sell. Prospecting for listings. How do you get your listings? How do you get people to want you to, sell? For them, sell their homes. How do you get people to want to use you to help them walk and go and look at properties? How do you do that? This particular modules, they teach you this kind of stuff. Again, you may learn it on the go, but why not take the 45-hour class ahead of time and knock that out of the park? Making listing presentations, how to have a conversation, how to have that presentation work. Also, listing contacts, how to get contacts, sphere of influence. And I know this may sound weird, but if you've got your 65-hour class, you've probably already heard some of these technical questions. But once you take this 45 hours, it makes you feel like, dang, man, I'm really glad I took it, because it's rough and it's a little bit tough. But it is hard as a 63-hour course, I'm going to tell you that. But it does enlighten you. The third section was selling real estate property. Working with buyers. How do you work with buyers? You got to make sure that everybody's above board. If you have any people who are liars and you're not telling the whole truth about the property, there are repercussions for all that stuff. So you need to know, are you going to be a person who's a single agent? Are you going to be working for a broker? So you got to know these things, and this is very vital for you. Also, writing a presentation, writing the offer, how to write an offer. Holy cow. There are a lot of steps and stuff. These are legal documents that are binding, and you can go to jail or you can get in trouble for misleading people and even steering people to different communities and areas. Don't ever do it. If somebody asks you, well, can you put me in a particular area, be very careful, because you need to make sure that you don't steer people in a particular neighborhood. Like if Spanish people say, well, can we live in a particular Spanish neighborhood? You can always be polite and say, look, I can show you a lot of homes. If you want to do your research and find that, we have to be very careful, guys. I'm telling you, ethics matters, and you never know who's out there to hurt you. You don't never know. There's been some bad people, scrupulous people out there in the past that took advantage of people who were buying homes. So just remember, always be above board. Also, we go into section 4, which was financing and closing real estate transactions. Oh my gosh, that was like, you got all these things that the buyer has to take care of, and then you have a whole bunch of stuff that the seller has to take care of as far as money is concerned. You got to talk to somebody with financing to help you get financing. You've got to get pre-prepared loans so people can go ahead and be prepared to be able to buy a home. Because I'm going to tell you what, if you go talk to somebody about a home and they haven't been pre-approved, it's not as easy a sell as you think. And you also make sure that when you get these pre-approvals and stuff like that, you work with these people, and you may want to have them sign something so that way you can be, the exclusive salesperson. Okay. And what else we got here? Acquiring financing for the property. Like I just said, there are banks, there are, you can work with somebody who's a loan officer, who works for different types of mortgage companies. They will ask you a bunch of questions, information, walk you through the process, and a lot of times they'll take care of that. And remember this too, guys, when you deal with financing, you're doing contracts. There is math involved, so pay attention, because you will have some questions that aren't real complicated once you learn the basic formulas. Once you learn the basic formulas on how to, do doc stamps, how to talk to people about paying taxes and interest, how much their escrow is, how they're going to pay their bill, how much money they need to put down. It's like, you got to know this stuff. The more you learn, the better it gets. And I'm just saying in this regard. Also, another thing that you need to remember is that when you're working with customers, closing real estate transactions, how do you close them? One thing I learned is, when you work with a couple or significant other, whoever that's buying a home, you got to make sure that you have both the buyer and also as far as the person who's helping them with the purchase of the mortgage, and also the person who's selling. You've got to all be together and be on the same page. And there's got to be signatures done, and you can't be hiding this stuff, especially in the state of Florida. You got to be on above board. Now, also analyzing and managing investment property. There's different appendix that they have. They go through all this kind of stuff. And if you see, there's quite a bit of information that you learn. And when I took the course, what made it easy for me was I record myself. I go into the book. I take the book. I'll take the book because this is the book that I used. I highly recommend. Like I said, this is a good book, good school. And I would take... And as we were going through the chapter, it has numbers in here, and it gives you the highlighted ones they wanted you to know, wanted you to go over, because a lot of that will break it down for each test that's in the book. And also, it gives you the capability to go back over it because you know where you're at and you don't have to read a bunch of stuff. Because a lot of times, a lot of that stuff can be kind of, not stuff that you really need to know. But you need to have the gist. And our teacher, Mr. Roy Durbin, what he did was he made sure that he went over it. Didn't read verbatim, but because he knew his subject so well, he kept us enlightened and we went over subject. Plus, he brought in ideas and information in the real world. Okay, you can do it online and stuff like that, and if you don't have a teacher, it can be a little difficult, but we had a great teacher. Just saying. He's a sharp guy. He's getting ready to take a position, hopefully, here shortly with NEFAR. And hopefully you'll know what that is later. Okay, and then on top of that, when you're taking these tests, this book, you've also got at the end of each chapter, you've got your overview and review questions. And what he did was he had us all on Zoom, and he would ask each one of us a question. we would circle the question, and if we were right or wrong, he was very polite. When you were wrong, he says, well, are you sure? And then we'd revisit that, and then he would expound a little bit more information about what the test was about. And he also talked about that particular one. And then he would also say, this may be on the test, so you need to go ahead and circle it, and you need to go ahead and review this. And what I did was I took each one of these, and in my own voice, I went back and I read the chapter portions that he wanted us to outline, and also the sections that dealt with, the summary, the things that he wanted us to know. I also used that. I recorded myself with that verbatim, the lines and the information he wanted you to know. Remember, there's a lot of information in the book. He made sure we knew exactly what we needed to know. And then on the tests themselves, on the small little tests, he told us the ones that would probably be more likely to be on the big test, and gave us a direction and information. He said, I can't guarantee you that they will be on the test, but they're more likely. So you got your review questions that you went over, and you studied those review tests. And what I did was, like I said, while I was at the gym or I was out working, if I was out doing stuff, I would listen with my earbuds, listen to recordings of what I had gone through in class. Basically, I went ahead and, like I said, I read what was there. I listened to it, and then later at nighttime when I was studying, what I would do is I'd put my earbuds in my ear, and I would also go back over the chapter, and instead of me having to read, it would read to me, and it would read the information, and I would just go back over it, and I would go back over each chapter, and I learned that way. My name is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy, and, we're just having a very simple conversation about, how to take your 45-hour continuing education test in real estate and pass it. I passed it with an A. Was I perfect? You had 100 questions. And if you're lucky, they'll go over the basic information prior, which, we were very fortunate. The day before, we went over the information. We learned about what we needed to know. And then you studied. And then you went and you sat down. You had a 3-hour test. And it didn't take 3 hours, but you had 100 questions. They were a point apiece. And, you needed to at least make a 75. So I thought I'd give you some information. My name is Gary Lee Stanley. I am your sales guy. And today we just had a very simple conversation. Because, see, real estate matters. Don't wait till the very last minute to take this 45-hour class, because you may need this information. I guarantee you, learning about the contracts and all the information, it's vitally important for you to be successful. So don't wait till the end. Put a smile on your face, learn, and don't forget about the math part. If you're lucky, get this book ahead of time. See if you can get it sent to you, so that way you can sit down and go over it and learn your math, because your math will really help you, and you don't want to miss some easy questions. And I did pretty good. Like I said, I made an A. I wish I would have made 100, but I didn't. And a lot of the people, we had everybody in our class who passed it, so it was pretty cool, because we were all serious about, learning this material. My name is Gary Lee Stanley, your sales guy. And our total subject for today was how to take your 45-hour continuing education test in real estate and pass it. Now you know what's on it. Now you know what to do. So do your best and be the best you can be. And do me a favor, have a nice day. And don't forget, take the test now. All right. 45 hours, yeah. All right.